You spent all Sunday building a master dashboard in Notion. It has custom icons, progress bars, and linked databases that look like a work of art. But by Wednesday, you've stopped using it. You're back to using random sticky notes or just remembering things. That's the system bug. You didn't build a life OS, you built a maintenance trap. You've created a system that requires more energy to manage than it gives you in return. It's a pretty cage that's masquerading as freedom. Chapter 1. Every system has friction. It's the resistance between you having an idea and that idea being captured. If your system requires 5 clicks to add a task, you've already failed the friction test. Most people over-engineer their lives because they want to feel sophisticated. They build complex hierarchies and nested folders that look great in a YouTube tutorial. But in the heat of a client edit or a coding session, those clicks feel like miles. You're currently fighting your own architecture. You've built a digital bureaucracy where you have to fill out a form just to remember to buy milk. That's a bug. A high-performance system should be invisible. It should feel like an extension of your own hand, not a separate hurdle you have to jump over. If you have to think about how to use your system, you're using your RAM on the tool instead of the task. That's an efficiency leak. Think about your finance app. If it's hard to log an expense, you just won't do it. The data will become stale, and the app becomes useless. Friction is the silent killer of every great productivity dream. The architect's goal is zero friction capture. You want a single button that does the heavy lifting. You want a one-click reality. Anything more than that is just digital clutter slowing down your render speed. Audit your current workflow today. Find the 3-click tasks and turn them into one-click automations. If you can't make it easier, you're not an engineer, you're just a collector of complicated things. Chapter 2. A system without a feedback loop is just a list. A feedback loop is the mechanism that tells the system if it's actually working. Without it, you're just flying blind through a storm. You need data to know where the bugs are. Are you actually finishing the projects you put in Notion? Or are they just decaying in the sidebar? If you aren't tracking your completion rate, you aren't running a business, you're running a dream journal. The loop starts with review. Every Friday you have to look at the code. You have to see which parts of your life OS were ignored and which parts were utilized. The ignored parts are the bugs. They need to be deleted or refactored. Most Gen Z entrepreneurs hate reviews because they don't want to face the reality of their own procrastination. But the data doesn't care about your feelings. It only cares about the output. Face the data, or the data will bury you. Your system should talk back to you. It should show you when you're taking on too many areas and not enough projects. It should act as a mirror for your true priorities, not the ones you pretend to have on Instagram. When the feedback loop is closed, the system starts to self-correct. You stop making the same logic errors every week. You start to see the patterns in your own energy cycles. You move from guessing to knowing. If you don't have a loop, you're just vibrating again. You're doing work about work instead of the work. Close the loop. Look at the wreckage of your last week and find the signal in the noise. That's how you debug a life. Chapter 3. A common system bug is hyper-rigidity. You build a schedule that accounts for every minute of the day. Then a client calls or a laptop crashes and your entire architecture collapses like a house of cards. You've built a brittle system. It only works in perfect conditions, but the real world is never perfect. It's messy, loud, and unpredictable. If your life OS can't handle a pivot, it's not an OS, it's just a script that's destined to crash. You need fluidity. Your system should be modular. Think of it like Lego blocks instead of a single monolith. You should be able to move a project from Tuesday to Thursday without the whole weekly review breaking. This is the agile mindset. We build for resilience, not just performance. We expect the bugs to happen, so we build error handling into our daily lives. We have buffer time and emergency inboxes for the chaos. If you're too stiff with your productivity, you'll eventually break. You'll feel like a failure because you didn't follow the perfect plan. But the plan was the problem, not you. You were trying to be a machine in a human world. A sovereign mind is adaptive. It uses the system as a guide, not a prison. You want a compass, not a map. The compass tells you the direction. The map tries to tell you every step. Guess which one works better in a forest? Stop trying to control the world with your Notion dashboard. Start navigating the world with your logic. Build a system that can flex with your life. A fluid system is the only one that survives the first conflict. Chapter 4. The biggest system bug is thinking that a new tool will fix a logic error. You switch from Notion to Obsidian or from Make.com to Zapier, thinking that this time it'll be different. It won't. The tool is just the front end. The logic is the back end. If your back end is messy, the front end will always be a disaster. You're just putting new paint on a broken engine. It looks better for a day, and then the smoke starts again. This is shiny object syndrome. It's a form of productive procrastination. You spend 3 days setting up the new app instead of doing the deep work that actually pays the bills. You're playing architect instead of building. Tools are multipliers of your existing habits. If you have trash habits, a new tool will just help you produce trash faster. A better camera won't make you a better videographer. A better app won't make you a better systems engineer. Pick a stack and stick to it for 90 days? No feature chasing, no new release hype, just raw utilization. If you can't make it work in a simple text file, you won't make it work in a complex AI-powered dashboard. The master architect uses the simplest tool that gets the job done. They aren't obsessed with the specs, they're obsessed with the flow. They know that every new tool adds technical debt to their life that they eventually have to pay back. Kill the tool trap. Fix the logic first. Once your para method is working in your head, then you can deploy it to the software. The software is the slave. You are the master. Don't get the roles reversed. Chapter 5. The final bug is forgetting the human in the machine. You aren't a CPU. You have emotions, energy dips, and bad days. If your system doesn't account for your humanity, it's fundamentally flawed. You can't run at 100% capacity 24/7. Your life OS needs sleep modes. It needs low-power days where you only do the minimum viable work. If your to-do list is always a mile long, you're just training your brain to ignore the system. A sovereign system respects your biological limits. It knows that you're cooked after 4 hours of deep work. It doesn't schedule a complex strategy session at 8 p.m. when your willpower is already at 0. Most high achievers treat themselves like hardware that can be overclocked forever. But overclocking leads to burnout, and burnout is the ultimate system crash. It takes months to reboot from a total burnout. Build recovery into the code. Make rest a task with a checkbox. If you don't schedule it, it won't happen. You'll just collapse into a scroll hole on TikTok because your system didn't give you a safe exit. The architect designs for the user, and in this case, you are the user. Make the system kind to yourself. Make it rewarding. Use positive reinforcement in your habit tracker instead of just shame for missed days. When the human factor is integrated, the system feels natural. It doesn't feel like work anymore. It feels like life. You've moved from a mechanical life to an organic sovereignty. You've debugged the ghost and found the soul. You've found the bugs, you've simplified the clicks, and the machine is finally quiet. But even with a perfect, fluid, human-centric system, why does the real work still feel like a war? Why is starting still the hardest part of the day? If you don't master the trigger, the best system in the world is just a parked car. Check the previous video to see why your schedule is a lie.